I want to appreciate the postgraduate school for the opportunity given to come and present this seminar. And I want to stand on the existing protocol by appreciating the provost of the postgraduate school, greeting all the professors here present, and my other colleagues, as well as all our postgraduate students. I'm here to represent our group and to talk on another milestone in the journey of PhD. All the earlier contributors and presenters, they've been talking on how to write PhD thesis, right from the title down to the conclusion. But at this milestone, we want to talk on how can we communicate it? How can we present it? How can we bring out our ideas? And once you are able to cross this hurdle, you only have 2 steps to graduation. That's the registration of the title through the abstract, and then the oral defense that will be taken by my senior colleagues later. So, I want you to listen attentively, because all what they've said, even since yesterday, is on how to write it. And how do you present? And before I continue, I want to ask, how many of us have presented our Postfield Seminar, either at the faculty level or at the university-wide level? You've presented, just wave at me. That shows most of us, okay, it's only one person. That shows that most of us, we are working towards that particular milestone. In presenting this issue, we want to talk, or we want to give the outline. That's the activities before Postfield Seminar, then activities during the Postfield, and activities after Postfield. Now, even before talking about the activities before Postfield, I want to talk about what is even seminar. What is a seminar? When we talk about seminar, it's an avenue of communication in science and other field of academics. It's an avenue, it's a medium of disclosing your discovery, your innovations, and your new ideas to people. And at times, you want to discuss the existing knowledge and then bring out contributions in the line of academics to what some people have done in the past. So, now when we now bring it to the issue of Postfield, what are we saying? We are saying it's an attempt to test the ability of students, the ability in area of understanding, in area of mastery of his thesis. And the essence of this is to really improve the quality of that thesis. You and your supervisor all the while working together, bringing the things together, then working on that particular thesis. But now you want other professionals, you want other people to contribute and help you to enhance the quality of that particular thesis. And in the arrangement of the panel of examiner during Postfield, you will find out that we have professors in that field that will come and help you to enhance that particular quality. You find out that the HOD, an expert in that field, the dean of the faculty, then the cognate deans of that particular faculty, all these people, they are professors. Then the depth of their knowledge, they will now bring in an experience to help you and make sure the work is better. And that's the essence of the Postfield. And that's why once you cross that ordeal, you only have 2 steps to graduation. And you see, and as a result of that, there are some things you have to do in preparing for Postfield Seminar. The first thing to do is that you have to meet all necessary requirements for presenting Postfield Seminar as it has been outlined by the PG school. And this includes payment of your school fees, registration for that particular session. Not that one alone, your sub-dean must have submitted the faculty Postfield report to the PG school. And thereafter, now you will be called upon to produce and submit to the postgraduate school the required number of Postfield seminar papers. The record session of the postgraduate school will tell you that the number that you have to submit, and then that particular session of the postgraduate school will also help you to advertise, to publicize the presentation at the faculty through the sub-dean, and then university wide, then through posters. Then thereafter, part of your preparation is that you make sure you prepare your slide. And while you are preparing your slide, make sure you don't have more than what you can show. Maximum of 25, because you only have 15 minutes to present your slide at postgraduate, at Postfield Seminar presentation. And once you have more than the required number of slides, we won't be able to finish within that particular period. And you also try to do mock presentation among your colleagues. Try to do that so that you will be able to assess your readiness for that particular seminar. And that area is highly important. Very, very important. So that you will be able to organize your thoughts. You will be able to organize your thoughts, and then you will gain boldness, so that you will be able to present before your audience, and then you will be able to stick to your major theme. Once you do that, then by the time you get to the seminar, the seminar place, you go to the seminar venue and you are ready for that presentation, you will be able to focus on what the audience need to know about your thesis. So now, by the time you want to start, or in preparation for that presentation, mind you, you have to talk to your audience. You have to talk to your audience, and you don't talk at them. When I say talk to your audience, it means you speak to your slide. You speak to that your slide, and then you prepare yourself to be at a positive state of mind with confidence. You use examples, you use illustrations, you use illustration, and then you are aware. You should be aware of eye contact and body language of people you are presenting to, and through that you will even about 20 to 30% of the journey is already achieved. And mind you, you must dress for success. You must dress for success. Dress as a professional. You dress as a professional. You are there to present academic seminar. All what that is expected of you that pertains to your dressing, your comportment, yes, must be in conformity with academic seminar. Then the presentation of the seminar per se. Here I will try to tell you what you have to do within that 15 minutes. Thank God, and I want to thank the earlier speakers because they've told us a lot, even right from introduction, even to the contribution of knowledge. I'm not here to come and tell us how we do this, how we do that. How can we come about introduction or literature review? No. Since yesterday, we've been listening to that. Just try to appropriate it to what is being expected of you while presenting. So, when you get to the seminar, try to introduce yourself. Try to introduce yourself and try to welcome everyone. Thereafter, then start by introducing your outline. Start by introducing your outline. I'm here to present this. This is my topic. This is how the seminar will be presented, right from introduction to literature review, to methodology, result and discussion, summary, conclusion and recommendation, then your contribution to knowledge. Then you start taking them, the next slide, one after the other. The first thing is your title. Introduce your title. Already from the faculty and even from departmental presentation and so on, your title must have been refined and then thoroughly aligned with what is being expected. The independent, the moderation variables, then the title, but it must not exceed 21 words. So you go to the background of the study. The background of the study is important, and it will talk about the relevance of the subject matter. But as we were told yesterday, let it be in a funnel type, starting from the general down to the specific, and then you talk about the statement of the problem. Make sure while presenting the statement of the problem, make sure you highlight the important gaps to fill. And that's the interest of your audience. Don't just give us another literature review. Be able to pinpoint the gap. It may be methodological, it may be empirical, it may be theoretical gaps that you want to fill. Let those gaps be highlighted. Then you move to research questions, objectives, and hypothesis. The three, they are together. Because the research questions is the next slide, please. The research question will ensure the research objective. The questions you have we must inform the objective. And the objective now will be in two forms. Well presented, because we need that in concluding. When you get to the conclusion, your broad objective, your conclusion must reflect your broad objective and the specific objective that comes from the broad objective. And then the hypothesis, the central hypothesis of the research work must be discussed. Then you now talk about the significance of the study and then the operation definition of terms. Briefly highlight the benefit of that study to the development of people. Make sure you try to highlight them so that your audience will be able to see. We don't need word point, we need PowerPoint. So, and then the benefit of that also to the society and even the academic world. Then give explanation on your terminologies so that an ordinary layman in the seminar will be able to follow you. As the last presenter said, even the idiot must follow your path. So you now move to literature review. This is what we intend to see while you are presenting your literature review. I've helped you to summarize 3 major areas, and then briefly, by using two slides, you must be able to present this, give us the conceptual framework through the conceptual review. And there, in the conceptual framework, use your diagram and be able to talk to it, as Professor Oguyemi said. Talk to that particular diagram, talk to that particular chart, and let that chart be able to establish the dependent and the independent and the dependent variable, then along with the moderating variables. Then let us know the theories on which you are hinging the work on, and then the theoretical framework which will give you the likely models in your chapter 3, and then the empirical review. Under the empirical review, give us instances, maybe from developing and from developed countries. Through that also bring out the methodological issue that will help your audience to understand what you are doing. Now I move to methodology, which is the next chapter, because all these things the earlier presenter, they've talked about them. We have a session yesterday about literature review. This morning also from the university librarian on searching the literature. And then this aspect also, Professor Idowu today talked about this. Let us know your research design. If it is survey, if it is experimental, whatever, as Professor Oguyemi also reiterated, then let's know the source of your data while presenting. Then the method of data collection, the instrument used. If it is primary data, tell us, okay, we use questionnaire. If it is secondary data, tell us the type of secondary data. Is it time series? Is it a panel data? Then even if it is primary, is it longitudinal? So all these things you try to tell us. Then you talk about the sampling techniques. That's how you come about your sample size. Your sampling techniques will tell us how you come about your sampling size. And then your sample size, you give us the sample size through the sampling techniques. That's how you recruited the object of that data collection. Then when you come to data analysis, Dr. Fakonle talked about data analysis, but I want to add this. While presenting your data analysis during Postfield, let that data analysis be objective based. Let it be specific objective based. So, specific object 1, this is the method I want to use. It may be descriptive, where you talk about frequency, you talk about tables, and so on. If it is regression, tell us, make sure you spell out the model explicitly, giving us how you measure different variables, so that people that are listening, they will be able to help you and then point out your errors and your mistakes, and then which will improve the quality of that particular paper, of that particular thesis. Then point out what is unique about that particular method. And then in doing that, you are not the first person that want to use that particular method. Please reference people that have used it in the past, or saying following Ogunyemi 2022, this method will be used in analyzing this objective. Then you move to result and discussion. Make sure while presenting within that 15 minutes, make sure you present your result in a well-organized manner. And how do you do that? You also present that result specific objective based. Each objective, you present the result. And while you are presenting the result, please follow what he said. Present result using diagrams. That means you can use table. Use table to present the result. Use chart to present result. Use graph to present result. Because you don't, by just giving us statement, you won't be able to finish within that 15 minutes. But you should not forget that you must speak to that result. You must speak to the result. Tell us the implication while you are discussing, and then relate it. Try to cross-reference it with what has been done or what is obtainable in the literature. Then you now discuss the significance of the findings. Then I move to the last chapter while presenting. The last chapter, which is chapter 5. Please, the next slide. Please, just make sure you give us brief summary on how you answer the research questions there. And this must be presented in a summary form. That means all what you've done from chapter 1 to 5, briefly highlight the cogent ones and make sure all the research questions you ask, all the research questions asked are answered in relation to that objective, and then the hypothesis also, you test all the hypotheses. Then you now come to conclusion. Present to us the conclusion of the work. Here you must be careful. We don't want you to present the summary of major findings again. We don't want you to present the summary of major findings again. Just make sure you give us the conclusion, and your conclusion must be in relation to your broad objective. It must be in line with your broad objective, and it must reflect the broad objectives before you now move to recommendation. In recommendation, just in the presentation of that recommendation, just highlight one or two recommendations that were being informed by your result. Recommendations informed by your result. Don't just get recommendation from the sky. It won't be useful. Tell us, this is the result, the implication of this result in chapter 4, then you are now recommending. Then your contribution to knowledge. In your contribution to knowledge, we want to see the thesis of that research. The thesis, he said thesis of the thesis. That is the thesis of the research. You tell us what your own work has contributed to the body of knowledge. It may be methodology. It may also be empirical, but it must contribute something to the knowledge. It must contribute something to the body of knowledge. Then, when you finish that, we now go to what are those things you should be expecting after you finish your presentation, and what is being expected of you to do after that presentation. Every presentation, once that presentation is a quality presentation and your thesis brings out your new ideas or innovation, there must be questions. Question will come. And time to use for this question varies in seminar presentation. But what thing you need to do is that you should be well composed to answer that question, avoid ambiguity, and avoid complexity. Then try to make sure the panel we want to decide on your performance, and you have to go out. They will send you out of that seminar room, but their decision is based on 3 recommendations: whether you will proceed to the next level, effecting the minor corrections within certain period of time, or you will be asked to come and represent after minimum of 6 months, or you pick a new title to be represented on a Postfield. So you will be invited back. You will be invited back to the seminar venue, and then the result will be announced to you. And once you are pronounced to be successful, yes, you have to sit down and make sure you correct the thesis within the stipulated period. And you now submit to the PG school through the faculty, even with approved abstract for university abstract vetting committee to work on. Then you will now have to start working on your thesis to produce journal article. That's the second aspect, because presently now, right from last session, evidence of submission of at least one journal article, evidence of submission of at least one journal article to a reputable journal outlet from your thesis is required for oral defense. So you have to work on that as well. The next slide. And how do you go about that quickly? How do you convert your thesis to journal article? The first thing, briefly identify a reputable and acceptable journal. You can identify them through Scopus, ResearchGate, Google search, and so on and so forth. And then make sure you shorten the length of that thesis, working by the author's guideline of that particular journal. Professor Aborishade said you have to download 3 or 4 copies of the selected journal from that journal outlet, so that you'll be able to know how the author guidelines for that journal is. Then modify different aspects like your introduction, your literature review, your methodology, and then you now go for publication in the journal. So you submit, then they will work on it, they will return it back to you, you effect the correction of the peer review, and you submit the corrected version of the paper. Then you now wait for the production process. While you are waiting, you can likewise check whether your article has been published in that particular journal through Procus, ProQuest, Agile, Agora, Google search. All these things will give you whether your article has been published. And once it has been published, then congratulations. But the evidence of submission to an outlet must be submitted. Thank you for listening.